That's right. New York. It's 1958. Anyway, for a few more minutes it is. Come midnight, it's gonna be 1959. A whole nother feeling. The new year. The future. Yeah, old Daddy Earth fixing to start one more trip round the sun. Everybody hoping this ride round be a little more giddy, a little more gay. Yep, all over town, champagne coaches are popping. Over in the Waldorf, the big shots is dancing to the strings of Guy Lombardo. Down in Times Square, the little folks is watching and waiting for that big ball to drop. They're all trying to catch hold of one moment at a time. To be able to say, right now, this is it. I got it. That's another story.
Welcome to the Perfect Movie Podcast, the podcast that'll probably be in bed before midnight, okay?
Okay.
I'm Michael.
I'm Kalen.
And today, we're continuing our end of 2024 Best of Movies list with the best of 2024. We've organized our list into the good, the bad, and the mid. We've already covered the mid on our previous episode. So if you want to hear more about those, you can go to that and also just our covering of the state of 2024 movies. So now we're going to move on to our best movies of 2024. Kalen, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I just sipped a nice cold one. Ready to start this best movies list.
All right. So I think for both of us, there's one movie that stands before it all. We kind of talked about on our last episode that this has been a weird movie year, and I think part of the reason it feels so weird is it peaked really early.
Yes.
So, Kalen, should we just get it out the way?
Let's do it.
Let's talk about the best movie of the year, Dune Part 2.
Yes.
Mighty, only tribe leaders can speak. If you wish to share your voice, you must take his place by defeating him and returning his water to the well.
You think I'm stupid enough to deprive myself of the best of us?
Taking
my life, Usul. It is the only way.
I'm pointing the way!
Should be said, we did have a whole episode dedicated to this movie.
It's true.
But it's so good, let's talk about it twice.
Lisa Nagaib! I'm Bob Dylan.
He just got interviewed by Nardwuar.
Did he?
Yeah, it was pretty.
Is that when did you see that Timothy Chalamet was once knighted by Lil B?
Yeah, and you know what? He got cool points for that. I've watched interviews with him. He seems like a nice guy. Cool guy.
So, Dune Part 2. Denis Villeneuve's follow-up to Dune Part 1, which was a movie I liked a lot, but I was like, I grade this an incomplete. This is half a movie.
Yes.
We do not have a full story here yet. We take off right where we left off.
I said it very much like it reminisces to like Lord of the Rings trilogy. The first Dune is very similar to Fellowship of the Ring. You're kind of just introducing people to this world. I think the Fellowship did it a lot better. But it's so grand in scope, and you have so many different like these houses and like all these weird sci-fi elements to it. It's so hard to condense that all into one film.
I agree. And Dune Part 2 is just an epic. It was the best theater experience of the year. We went in there, sound was rattling, and aside from really having to pee for like the whole may your blade chip and shatter segment of this movie, boy, was I like just levitating out of my body. Just like
Yeah.
the sound design, the visuals, the twists and turns of our like tortured hero's journey that
Yeah.
Timothée Chalamet's on. What a fucking movie.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I think even really comes close to competing. And this is like, you know, a blockbuster, but made for the film buffs.
Yeah, yeah. It's a once in a generational type of film.
Mm-hmm.
Very much like Across the Spider-Verse was last year. It's definitely one of those films. It's like this is going to be so hard to replicate or to make another sequel off of.
Also a huge year for Zendaya. Because
Yes.
Zendaya has another movie that's going to be on my good list.
Is that really horny tennis movie?
Challengers.
Yeah.
It was actually a really fun movie that we'll cover soon. It's got this weird combo of being Denis Villeneuve, this filmmaker that's made a lot of thoughtful sci-fi already, Blade Runner 2049, Arrival, that weren't particularly financially successful, but everybody loved them,
Yeah.
that did see them. And then for some reason Dune, which is not, the more I find out about it and learn the story, is not like a easily translatable or a easy to go down type of story. Like this is not.
It's the most incoherent kind of shit ever. It's the book is ridiculous.
It's not, you know, ding ding ding. This is going to be an automatic hit maker type of adaptation, like somebody adapting Jurassic Park. Like
Right.
the book where dinosaurs come back to life. That's going to make $1 billion. The movie where there's a lost messiah that like leads a jihad,
And there's giant space worms.
and there's giant space worms, and everybody's on weird drugs.
Yeah.
Like the Northmen walked so Dune Part 2 could run. Like
Interesting.
that's the only other blockbuster I can think of that even attempts to be as like
as weird.
as this is.
For sure.
And Northman fucking flopped, but Dune, I think because it also has this association, like even if you didn't read Dune, people know of Dune.
And there's the original movie from the 80s.
You might have seen the David Lynch Dune.
Yeah. Which very much tried,
Yeah.
you know. Definitely, it was like one of those films where it's like, it's so hard to translate this because it's like Star Wars, but it's so much weirder, and there was a technology disadvantage back then. So,
Yeah. But Dune Part 2, just incredible. It's on Max. I recommend both the Dune movies. And just as far as like every technical aspect, immaculate. All the acting,
yeah.
immaculate.
This solidified this director for me, too. Where I was like, I loved Blade Runner so much because he just nailed the world perfectly and just the atmosphere. And this, for me, was like, this is one of the best sci-fi films I've ever seen. And it made me look at Star Wars a certain type of way. I was like, Star Wars, you fucking...
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can't anymore.
It's
Dune
like-
is here, and it's better than you.
Yeah. Dune is like driving a fully like blacked out like Escalade, and Star Wars is like driving one of those little
Prius.
like the little Tykes little mini car Escalades
Yeah.
when you're like 4 years old.
And it's funnier even now knowing like that Star Wars is a ripoff of Dune, basically. Yeah. And it's just like, oh yeah, well I see what they were trying to do, and they dropped the ball completely. And they made it so much more simplified.
Well, I think it was comboing that with the Flash Gordon hero
And the samurai shit.
Yeah, it's all that molded together. I think Star Wars went and accomplished what it wanted to, but it did.
Sure.
It did take the Force and the desert planet.
And Anakin.
Yeah.
And Paul, you know. It's that's where we can clip that he was the best guy around for Paul's character.
Yeah,
Of all the
and
people you murdered.
Timothée Chalamet is someone I thought never thought much of, and even in Dune Part 1, I was like, okay, but can this guy carry this movie like when it's Dune Part 2?
Wasn't convinced in the
I wasn't convinced in Dune Part 1, but then there's the scene, which I'll put some clip in, although it may not hit as hard because it's mostly spoken in Iraqi.
Yeah.
Is when like Timothée Chalamet has like drank the blue liquid. He's fully awakened and he's like ready to like take the reins and lead his jihad.
Yeah.
And I was like, Timothée Chalamet, even when he's in other films, he's always like, I'm just a kind of sad guy,
But I'm sexy.
but I'm hot. And then he like really turns it up a notch and like owns the room, and you believe it from this little guy, and you're like, damn, okay.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
Yeah, Dune 2, if you haven't seen it, please go watch it. We can't express it more enough. It's brilliant, and it's one of those movies that it's going to stand the test of time for sure.
All right, so now that we got the main stay out of the way, do you want to share the rest of your good list?
Yeah. Number 2, I got at Rebel Ridge. Really liked this film. It was kind of a sleeper hit.
Rebel Ridge is also on my good list.
So it's directed by Jeremy Saulnier, director of Green Room and Blue Ruin, which are both great films. If you haven't seen those, definitely go check it out. Rebel Ridge stars Aaron Pierre.
You might know him as the rapper Mid-Size Sedan in the M. Night Shyamalan film Old.
I have not seen Old.
They meet a man on the beach, and they're like, oh, you're that famous rapper, Mid-Size Sedan.
Mid-sized sedan is crazy.
Yeah. I love that night.
This guy is going to be a star, though. He's got the look. He's got the voice. He kind of reminds me of a younger Denzel a little bit in certain aspects and just how he carries himself. This movie is pretty cool. It's basically a Rambo movie, but without all like the super hyper violence, and he's not murdering people.
Yeah, Aaron Pierre comes into town with a bag of money. The police are being shady, and they take his money. The money's intended for him to post bail.
Yeah.
And we later uncover more stuff that's going on in the town, and that basically this is a corrupt police department, and Aaron Pierre's character is a ex-Marine who is a expert in Marine martial arts program.
He trains Marines, yeah. Or Navy SEALs.
So the whole thing is that he's non-lethally going into combat with all these various cops.
And I was like, oh, man.
Which, yeah. On one hand, I wanted him to smash skulls. On the other hand, I do love the, like, controlled... how in control he is.
And how tactical he is, yeah.
That's a lot of fun rather than just, like, the blind rage. Like, we get that in John Wick and everything. At least it makes it different.
Yeah.
Where it's like he's outthinking them because he's not willing to go that extra step.
Yeah. And so the first scene, you have him getting, like...
which feels, just knowing I had a Marine brother, feels true to life for, like, a Marine versus, like, a small town cop.
Oh,
where
yeah.
he's like, oh, he's just a little guy.
Yeah. yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, the first scene, you have him getting basically knocked off his bike by David Denman, who plays Roy in The Office.
Oh, yeah. The abusive boyfriend
of Pam, yeah.
Pam.
But basically, he's just like this shitty cop, and he pulls over Aaron Pierre, and there's like a racial element to it, but it's not like so up the nose and on the nose that you're like, oh, come on, you guys are doing this. Like, it's one of those, you know what I mean? It's a little bit more tasteful. It's not as in your face. But you have that element, and then he's also trying to get the money to bail out his cousin, who is later on killed in prison. Just all these different components, and it's very watchable. It's just a very well-made movie.
Yeah, maybe
overall.
the best scene is when they have to reset the router in the precinct to get their Wi-Fi, and they've just been Googling, and they realize that Aaron Pierre never saw combat, he never deployed, so they're like, this guy, he's weak sauce.
Yeah.
And they have to like reset the internet while they're still Googling him.
The acronym you need to worry about right now is PACE. P-A-C-E. Ever heard of it? It's a plan and methodology used for comm systems, but they found it could be applied anywhere. Nursing, engineering, parachute infiltrations, posting bail. So the P is for primary. That's me, riding into town with my bag of money. A is for alternate. That's a deal we apparently never made. C is my contingency. That's the restaurant owner you put out of business this morning. And there it is. Spot on, too, like you just ate shit. Anyway, you got me burning through all these letters. And after this conversation, we already on E. You know what that stands for?
Marine Corps Martial Arts Program.
What?
MCMAP.
Combat system combines hand-to-hand, close quarters. Oh. I think he's on the Wikipedia page. Teaching jujitsu to the 6th Marine Regiment.
Okay.
It's team building. One mind, any weapon.
Call in any units on patrol.
Yep.
Here come your peeps.
Chief,
You want to honor that deal, or do I got to transition to
put some
E?
distance between you.
Let's not do that.
Yeah, every time he comes up with the police, it's just got that good fist pumping, like, yeah, fuck him.
Yeah.
you got 'em.
Yeah.
Or when he's on the phone call, which I didn't realize became like the whole marketing thing. The best line of this whole movie is when he's on the phone with the sheriff and he's about to enact his big plan at the end of the movie. And he's sitting in the, movie's and also a great commercial for the Ford F-250 Super Duty. He spends a lot of time in this big ass truck.
Yeah.
And he goes like,
Before 2 days ago, I'd never really been in a street fight.
Well, I've been in plenty.
Yeah, I can feel that from you. It's gotten out of hand.
We can agree on that.
Got me thinking, what if we just walk away?
Well, now you're starting to talk.
But then I was like, nah.
but then I was like, nah. And he just like shuts the phone and throws it away and like shifts the truck into gear and rips the whole back off of the police station.
Nah, I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah. the delivery of, but then I was like, nah.
He's got a great voice. Super, I don't know. He's going to be a star.
Aaron Pierre feels like he should have been in a Zack Snyder movie that was terrible.
Well,
Like, he's so buff.
Yeah.
And he's got those piercing, like, blue eyes.
He looks like a Greek god.
Yeah. He just feels like somebody that Zack Snyder would shoot in slow motion and take his shirt off and make him say, like, the worst lines you've ever seen. Like, he could have been Cyborg.
Yeah, thankfully that didn't
And he's going to
happen.
be Green
He's
Lantern?
going to be Green Lantern. Yeah, John Stewart. Yeah. So he has all that to look forward to.
Yeah. Great time to get on the superhero boat. That one's not sinking.
Yeah.
Great movie, Netflix movie. The only thing my one criticism is there's a little too much fiddling with the intrigue and specifics of like what's going on in this police department. We're convinced they're corrupt. We don't need to spend so much of the middle of this movie into the specifics.
You know who he'd be awesome as? Blade. He'd be an awesome Blade. Yeah. If he was going to go the superhero route. Yeah.
Just farm him out into his own unique action vehicle, like a John Wick type of thing, or like where he is, you know, it could be Rebel Ridge Part 2 for all I care.
Well, this is definitely like Rambo First Blood. It's basically the same plot. So I don't know. We'll see.
I'm just going to read out my whole list real quick. So these are all the good movies of the year, the movies I stand by. So we already covered Dune, Hundreds of Beavers, which is maybe my second favorite movie of the year. Challengers with Zendaya, quite fun. Thelma, the movie about the old lady that's John Wick. At least that's what the trailer does. Yeah. Really great movie. It's What's Inside. That's the body swapper Netflix movie that came out in October.
Mm-hmm.
The Wild Robot. Just the nicest movie of the year. Furiosa.
Yes.
Infested, which is this French movie about Spider-Man's taking over spiders. Just spiders.
There was a couple of spider movies that came out this year. There's another one called Sting.
Yeah.
Or something.
This French movie is all about an apartment block taken over by like crazy spiders, and the director, his name is Sebastian Vanacek, is set to do the newest Evil Dead.
Oh.
Love that movie.
That movie is pretty awesome though, huh? The
Infested?
the spider movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really like, it's quite cool. It's got that contemporary, like, this kid, he lives in a dingy apartment with his sister and he listens to rap music, and like it feels cool without feeling like, hey, fellow kids. And then it gets real deal, like once the spiders take over the building, the escalation of everything.
Yeah.
And it's one of those movies like you can only watch at certain times. If like, I'm not particularly squeamish about like spiders, but like even me, it's just like there's this one amazing scene where they're trying to get into the garage and they can only go down this one long passageway, and there's just like this spiraling shot as it goes down, and they see that the whole thing is just like covered in spider webs. Oof. And there's just like hundreds of spiders everywhere. And
see, I have arachnophobia. I don't know.
And they have to do a slow walk down that hallway to get to the garage. And yeah.
Have you ever seen Arachnophobia from like the 90s?
No.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, that's got what's his name from Scream.
Yep.
What else do we got? We already covered Rebel Ridge. Alien Romulus. Hitman, the Richard Linklater, Glenn Powell movie. It's like a rom-com where he pretends to be a hitman. Monkey Man, a movie about a man that pretends to be a monkey. Cuckoo, the horror movie in the woods. Beetlejuice. Milk and Cereal, which is a YouTube movie that was made by this like comedy channel that's sort of a found footage serial killer movie. Snack Shack. Lisa Frankenstein, The Substance, which is with the Challengers maybe is the most thumpingest soundtrack. Lots of just like big bass electronic music in those soundtracks. And finally, Longlegs, which kept flipping back and forth between my middest movies and my good movies, but Longlegs
is an interesting one. Yeah, for sure. For me, I had the order ones that you didn't mention. The order, I put Transformers 1 on here because I found that movie way more entertaining than I should have.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim is the anime Lord of the Rings film that just came out a couple weeks ago. That movie, it's sitting at like a 54% on Rotten Tomatoes. Actually, a 45%. I was going to say,
every review I've seen has been, a lot of the reviews haven't been super positive.
Let me read off, and you can kind of get like a little bit of a taste of what people are thinking. And it's the most surface level kind of reviewing you could ever do. Okay, so this is audience reviews, like kind of like the overall like feel off of Google. So reviewers found this film visually stunning and praised the soundtrack for its epic nostalgic qualities. And then the negative side was audiences found the story boring, unoriginal, with poor character development and a slow pace that dragged on for too long. So I don't really see people going into this movie with any kind of real critique. I saw people going into this being like, where's all this stuff that I remember? Mm-hmm. And they have the original soundtrack. I like that, but it's too slow for me. You know what I mean? And so you didn't really, I feel like people didn't really try to soak in just the film in general. But I found it very entertaining, and it was beautiful, and I love the soundtrack. And, you know, the plot was whatever, but I mean, it's an anime. What did you expect? So.
Yeah, I think most of the criticisms I heard were just that the main characters weren't that great.
The main character is a woman, and that's why people hate it.
Okay.
So that's partially the reason. There's a lot of that. Like, I think it got review bombed pretty hard by the anti-woke mob.
Am no man.
I mean, girls get it done, man. Who gives a fuck? So
what was I watching? And I was like, you didn't tell me this was a girls get it done movie. Oh, it was Shadow Strays. It was when she goes on the mission, and then the other lady takes off the thing, and it was also a lady, and I was like, oh.
You know why I didn't tell you it was a girls get it done movie? Because it doesn't matter.
Kaylin, Hundreds of Beavers is maybe my second favorite movie of the year. And this movie, it's available on Tubi and Amazon now.
You know who also loved this movie? Chris Stuckman.
Yeah, I sent you
I
sent you his review list. Hundreds of Beavers has so many jokes that build on each other. It's literally just live action Looney Tunes featuring people in like mascot costumes, and just the escalation of the bits is so good. And the fact that it's made with like, I'm sure $0 budget, but like, even if you don't realize that, you wouldn't think of it because it's only doing exactly what it went like asked to do and wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like it never exceeds its grasp, even though it has like no money to do it, and it makes this like kind of epic story. Like by the end, we're gonna go full spoilers for Hundreds of Beavers, because the man keeps thinking these beavers are up to something.
Yeah.
Like they are really intelligent, and there's like by the end there's like a whole beaver society, and he like is like walking in down the yellow brick road to like figure out what's going on with the beavers, and they're like, turns out the beavers have been building a spaceship, and he's like going up like the side of the tower for like the spaceship launcher, and he ends up before like the Beaver Council.
That's a Looney Tunes plot right there.
It just gets wackier and wackier and escalates more and more, and it's so fun. It's so fun and so silly.
I'm definitely going to have to check it out. That's one of the ones I missed this year.
I would definitely watch it. Caitlin, anything you want to cover?
Furiosa, we could talk about. We saw this in theaters as well. If you go into this thinking it's going to be like Fury Road, you're going to be very disappointed. as I was kind of like the first time I watched it. I watched it recently, and I really loved it. It's really well made, and the scope of it is so much bigger than Fury Road, which is where it differs so much, because it's very much an epic. And you have Chris Hemsworth as he's whatever his face, Scrotus, or what is that guy's name?
No, Scrotus is Rictus Erectus' brother.
Okay, well, he's one of those guys.
His name is... Whoa, why can't I think of this?
Wow.
The Red Dementus and his Congress of Destruction!
Oh, his name is Dementus.
Dementus. There's a lot of us's. But he has a really great performance. This is one of his best performances, I would say, because he's not typecasted in this, and because I just watched like Extraction 2 not long after that, and I was like, oh well, this is usually his type of role, but in this he's like actually able to kind of act a little bit, and I like that from him, and I think he's a decent actor, and I want to see him do more stuff like this. You also have another big name, which is Anya Taylor-Joy, and she's fantastic as Furiosa. She kind of nails Charlize Theron's whole thing in the original, and it's just such a great character, man. Furiosa is awesome. And you just have her kind of going on her little odyssey, and that's it. And it's great, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I remember watching it in the theaters and you kind of reacting a little more negatively than me. And I had that same sort of feeling, but I was kind of like, I think we're just comparing it to the best movie ever. And it falls short of being like the best movie ever, which is Mad Max Fury Road, the prequel. And it makes sense to compare them. And there are certain ways that this movie falls short. I think the comparison I'd make, although I think this movie is better than both of these comparisons, would be like when the Matrix sequels come out, and it's this more lore-filled, expansive, thoughtful thing, compared to like the straightforward action thing that the original Matrix was, or the Star Wars prequels, where it's like adding all this lore and backstory to something that was like a pretty simple, like, we're gonna, take revenge against the bad guys.
Well, I also kind of like one thing that kind of not disappointed me, but like that I don't like that they did, it was just like, I don't think you need to expand on Mad Max. The part of the appeal of it is the vagueness of everything, and how everything kind of just spells itself out for you. I don't need a big, like, wide aerial shot of us zooming in on Australia to know that they're in Australia. You know what I mean? It's stuff like that. Or to know, like, I don't need a scene with Mad Max coming into contact with Furiosa again. There's no need for that, because it's like, this is his world. He's there somewhere, and he's off doing his own thing. I don't need to see him to know he's there. You know what I mean? So it's just like stuff that they feel the need to spell out for the audience. I just don't appreciate that. I feel like that's hand-holding, and it's lazy. You know what I mean? Especially when you're trying to do your own thing. So...
And it's funny because I still, I did also rewatch this movie, and I still think it's, somehow less than the sum of its parts, because there's, 6 scenes in this movie that are the best, 6 of the best 10 scenes of the whole year, but somehow the movie, when it's all put together, is, not quite as good as its heights.
Yeah.
Where, the war rig fight with the dudes on the hang gliders is awesome. It looks more CG than the rest of, Mad Max Fury Road, but, it's still, fucking sick. The opening with Furiosa's mom pursuing the guys to the desert.
15 minutes is awesome.
Yeah. Everything involving Furiosa's mom, basically till when she's, crucified, all that's amazing.
Yeah.
Give me...
that was the most Fury Road stuff in the film.
When he's what does he call him? Encyclopedia man? History man.
History man.
Man. Give me a word burger on tears.
And he starts having a dictionary
definition of tears.
Yeah, that's great. It's that kind of stuff that I love, and I wanted more of that,
It's the fight at the bullet farm is awesome. The finale with just Furiosa and Dementus just talking it out at the end.
And he just I don't even remember you really. And it's all of this, Furiosa went through all this for, this type of ending. And it's just that's great.
Well, that's what his line is about, the folly of revenge, where he's do whatever you want with me. all this pain cannot bring those that you love back.
Yeah.
You cannot repair this. You will be like me, broken and defeated, just like I was before you.
But it's also, too, just like the ramblings of a madman, where it's like nothing he's saying is very coherent to begin with. So that stuff is awesome.
And he's
great.
this total like cult leader. Like he's the talkiest person that's ever been in a Mad Max movie, and you kind of can't stop listening to him. And it's every time he's very... Part of the problem with this movie is he's also the best part of the movie, and then the movie like becomes disinterested with him in the middle part, and then he returns towards the end.
Yeah. They're like, oh yeah, this is a Furiosa movie. We have to show Furiosa more and stuff. Yeah.
But there's still so much in it that's like so great that it makes me sad that it was kind of a flop and that we probably won't ever see another Mad Max movie.
No.
George Miller's in his 80s. Like we're probably not going to get there, but man.
But I mean, hats off to him for still making something like this at his age. I mean, it's kind of incredible. I'm sure he had a lot of help, but still. See, the man has a vision.
Brilliant. I'll be dead and you'll still be sorrowing your lovey-dovey and your mummy magnificent. You idiot. You can never balance the scales of their suffering.
Give them back.
I can do it again. If you can't do me quick, you have to do me slow. But you are never going to get anything close to what you want.
Have you seen The Wild Robot?
I have not.
So this movie, my one criticism is it makes a lot of jokes that aren't funny, but if it's not the sweetest, nicest, it's just about a mom that loves a kid, basically.
Yeah.
Really hard. The Wild Robot is based on a children's book, which I haven't read, but it is a story about a robot that's just airdropped out of nowhere and is kind of lost and looking for a directive. Kind of shout out to Wall-E.
Hello, bonjour. Guten Tag, Ujambo. Hola.
Congratulations on your purchase of a Universal Dynamics robot. I am Rosm7134.
A Rosm always completes its task. Just ask.
Through happenstance, she becomes connected with this newly orphaned duckling, and then she raises it over a season and like tries to train him up to fly, to make the big fly to the south during the winter season.
Okay.
And that's all it is. And it's just a nice, loving, beautifully animated movie. That's exactly that. It has not a mean mode in its body. Like every character in it, for the most part, is like nice and helpful, and it's just like a nice little hug of a movie where it's just like, oh, people can be decent.
Yeah.
People can work together.
Yeah.
What if?
Another animated movie, Transformers 1. I put this on my good list. I was just so pleasantly surprised by it. And I put off watching this one because from the trailers and everything, it just looked like one of those straight to streaming Nickelodeon movies. Yeah. It didn't look very special, but when I watched it, I was like, this is a movie. And I was kind of shocked by it.
They're making movies again.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, so you feel attached to the characters. You have a reason to like Megatron in this. I've never been the biggest fan of Transformers. I liked it when I was a kid, but as an adult, I didn't really care for the Bay movies and stuff. And I definitely know that there's a big audience for these films. But this one there's just a lot of heart to it. There's a lot of emotion in this. The voice work is great. The guy that plays Megatron is the actor from Bullet Train.
Brian Tyree Henry.
And he goes crazy in this. He's got some great voice work, and he totally transforms his character over time, and it's very convincing, and it's just fun to watch. The animation is a little iffy in some places, but you can tell when the budget was like going full force in certain scenes. Very violent. There's like public executions in the streets and stuff. I was just like, Jesus Christ. It's a great watch, and I would recommend it to anybody, really.
I beg you. Stop. D, he's not the enemy.
Bear witness
This is the last time I show mercy. Decide right now. You can stay here in hiding, bowing before your pathetic leader, or follow me as we march on Iacon and I take down Sentinel once and for all!
I'm going to go ahead and talk about challengers. Okay. Horny Zendaya horny Zendaya threesome movie is, I think, what everyone sees in the trailers. It's kind of not that. The scene that's shown in the trailers actually does not end with anyone having sex.
Okay.
Where they're all sitting on the bed together. It ends as a tease, actually. It's going to be a new entry in, I'm sure, a genre that'll continue on into the future, which is Zendaya, Please Step on Me movies.
Okay.
But what it is really about is the two men who are, they meet as teens. Everybody knows each other as teens, and how the two guys' arcs kind of separate, where the one that was, at a lower post as a teen has now become a professional, like a thriving professional, and the one that was a higher status as a teen has now, like, this guy that's barely scraping by trying to pursue his tennis dream still, and Zendaya is a person that's caught in the middle. The soundtrack is so great. It is just a lot of great electronic music from Trent Reznor.
This seems to be the trend recently.
It's actually really fun. Like, I don't give a fuck about tennis at all. It managed to make tennis exciting. There's like the big finale match. There's a great shot where the guys are like up against each other, and then the camera just becomes the ball, and then the camera's just flying back and forth across the.
That's awesome.
Across the tennis court. It is actually, like, it's very much not something based on the advertising where I thought it would be up my alley, and it's still not, but it was still like really good one of those. And it's not so horny or so, like, it's actually not the threesome movie. Like, it is. A lot of the movie is built on how Zendaya kind of controls the other one and it manipulates the both of them kind of against each other, and how she's this person in between. But it is, I don't know. That sounds depressing and horny, and it's actually fun and horny.
Okay. Between this and Dune Part 2, we're watching Tom Holland be cucked real time.
Constantly.
Let's talk about Monkey Man for a minute.
Monkey Man was a film I watched earlier on in the year, and I didn't really like it the first time I watched it. I watched it a second time, and I was like, this is pretty freaking awesome. And again, the soundtrack is amazing. The visual style is just, wow. The movie looks gorgeous. You have this like like India, but it's like soaked in neon lights. It looks like freaking Blade Runner or something. It just looks so good. And that visual style hasn't really been done before, and I just think it fits so well. Usually you get like the neon soaked like Tokyo or something, but in India, it works so great. It's just basically another kind of revenge story, very much like a John Wick. I don't want to say ripoff, but it's very much in the same vein. I wish that they lean more into like the supernatural stuff. I almost wish he became a monkey man in this, like an actual like supernatural being, like a superhero or something. Like, I think if they went that super weird route that the movie was kind of going in the first place, and then it teetered off towards the end, I think it would have been much more effective. I thought the ending was pretty mediocre for the most part. It was just like, okay, well, that's it. And I don't know. It just had so many cool elements to it. It felt very dreamlike, and the performances were great. Dev Patel, he's awesome. Definitely recommend this movie. It's a really great action flick. Yeah, it kind of stinks of a movie that there was like a 3-hour version of the movie, and I've heard Dev Patel talk about how like Jordan Peele came on as producer and helped him like figure out how to like cut the movie into something useful, like a 3-hour version of the movie that's like even more deep into like the politics and all the backstabbing and all the like stuff that's like the downfall of the society around our main character. sometimes it feels like it's a little bit skipping around, but the action is so good. And I love that it's a movie that, like, we have a big confrontation like 40 minutes in where it's kind of been building up to like, this is where I take my revenge. And he just biffs it magnificently and has to like go hide in a monastery and lick his wounds and become a better fighter.
Well, that's what
person.
I thought they were gonna. I thought they were gonna go full on. He becomes Batman, like Monkey Man. You know what I mean? And Dev Patel, like his character, like is so maniacal and just he's kind of a fucking loony bin, and I just love that. And I just wish they did more with it. But other than that, it's just visually one of the best looking films of the year for sure.
Settle down, you animals, settle down. From His Majesty, all the way to the deepest, darkest jungles of my Mother Africa. I hunted him down. I dodged him myself. And I brought him all the way here for your entertainment. He's evil. He's ferocious. He's a dark destroyer. I give you call.
Let me talk about the substance.
Have you ever dreamt of a better version of yourself? Younger, more beautiful, more perfect. One single injection unlocks your DNA and will release another version of yourself. This is the substance.
I'm Sue.
You're hired.
Let's go.
A perfect balance of 7 days each. The one and only thing not to forget. You are one. You can't escape from yourself.
There's been a slight misuse of the substance.
This balance is not working.
Would you like to stop? Would you like to stop? Would you like to stop? Would you like to stop?
I'm fine.
Another electronic music phenomenon of a film. Probably the movie is designed like it's an Apple commercial. Like everything's really stark and white often, and then it's contrasted with some of the most disgusting like body horror you could possibly imagine. I mean, it's really beating you over the head with the like, this is all a big metaphor for what women have to do to satisfy the beauty standards set by the media.
Yeah.
Type of deal. But it just goes so far. When I tell you the last 15 or 20 minutes of this movie are like so absurd, I could describe them to you, but I like barely could because it's such a crazy thing. It's definitely a thing I would recommend experiencing once, no matter what. It's like you just watch it and you're like, this is so fucked up and weird.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
I definitely have to check it out. That's one of I haven't really been big into the horror films this year, but there was one horror film that I did watch, which was Longlegs. And this is one I had put off for a long time because I just was not in the mood to watch it. I will say some of the best marketing this year was for this movie. They did quite a lot. There was a lot of trailers, but the trailers were just so vague. And they kind of hyped this film up a little bit too much, and I think people were let down by it. Because it was marketed as like the best horror film since The Exorcist or Hereditary or whatever. And I just felt like it started off pretty strong, but it fell completely on its face. Nick Cage, his performance is interesting. I don't know if it worked for me. I would say he was almost too ridiculous in this. I don't know if you would agree with me. I think that like it was warranted due to the material, but I don't know. It made me laugh. It really did.
It is so strange, and I think the scene that kind of seals the deal with Nick Cage for me is when he's trying to do his weird shit inside that little like hardware store, and there's that disinterested teenage girls working the register, and he starts, I forget what he's saying, but he just starts doing his weird shit, which he's done every time we've seen him so far, and this girl just goes, "Dad, that one weird guy's here again."
And then it smash cuts to him in the car or whatever.
Yeah,
he's like,
and he's
"Mommy, Daddy."
Take me away from this horrifying reality. Yeah.
Daddy! That gross guy is back again.
His weird songs, everything's bizarre about the Longlegs character. I like the portrayal. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I like how it's so bizarre and over the top. I find it creepy, especially like early, like the opening scene where she meets Longlegs.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But nobody's telling him no. That's for sure. Nobody told Nick Cage no at any point.
And I think that's fine.
It was good for what they
That's
were going
good.
for.
That's
but
fine.
this is Hannibal Lecter. This is not. This guy's
No.
just a weird, freaky boy.
I mean, he's much more like the other guy from Silence of the Lambs, the
Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Bill, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey! Excuse me. Who are you, and why are you talking to my kid?
Let me in now, and it can be nice. Make me go now, and I have to come back. Not once, not twice, but as many times as I like.
So it's full spoilers for Longlegs. Longlegs is a movie that I also hate the ending. I really do, and I watched it again, and I hated it even more. Sometimes I think there's a twist that I don't like the first time, and when I watch it again knowing it's happening, I might maybe feel better or differently. And one aspect I did feel better is it comes out of nowhere, but it kind of doesn't, because our Agent Carter, the like main agent that our Micah Monroe's working with, he keeps saying stuff in the first half of this movie where he's like, "This ain't some black magic bullshit." Like, he keeps saying like, "This ain't no magic. This ain't no witchcraft."
Yeah.
So it's kind of like tipping its hand that like that's exactly what it is actually.
Yeah.
And the whole end of this movie is basically the devil did it and the devil's behind all of this, but also it involves my twin dolls and a little metal ball and a lot of weird bullshit where I'm like, why did we do all this investigation? The investigative part is the part I liked. I love the vibes of the beginning of the movie. I think Micah Monroe, like if we were going to hand out Oscars, like what she's doing in that role is really good.
She was really great.
I love how reserved and like she seems like she's on the spectrum, frankly.
That's kind of what I thought it was leaning into, where she was,
But it turns out she's just got the devil in her.
And yeah, go ahead.
And I watched this in the theater alone in a dingy, dark theater where I got jump scared by a spider in the urinal when I left. So it was like the perfect scenario for this. And the beginning of the movie, and this is a thing that must be intentional, and I didn't even realize it when I was watching this movie, because you watch this movie the first time, and for the first like 45 minutes, it's all this investigative stuff, and it's all pretty quiet, and you're just watching it, and you're watching Micah Monroe read stuff, and you're just like looking in the corners, and you're like, you feel dread, and you don't really know why or where it's coming from, but you're like, things aren't right. And apparently, in the background of a bunch of shots in this movie are these clouded, dark visions of the devil that are like hiding in corners, and you can see the little horns, and you can see it like barely. They're like, there's these barely there black forms that are throughout the whole beginning of this movie, and I didn't even realize in that watching it alone in the theater movie. So like that I think is all effective, but then when it's recounting how this all works and how the murders work and the specifics of everything, I'm like, it's
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, and it's jumping the shark for me, even though I do actually like the final scene when we have the agent and his daughter and his family, and the like murder sequence is happening live in front of Micah Monroe, and we like I love the agent's like, you need to cut the cake in the kitchen, and the wife's like, okay, I'll see you in there, and he's like, yeah, and you won't be coming back, or something like that. And everybody's being twisted by the devil, because the devil resides within these little dolls that Micah Monroe's mom apparently has been shipping out, and
she works with the Longlegs guy.
The Longlegs guy literally, I think, lives in the basement of Micah Monroe's house, and this whole movie is now built on having amnesia.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, is like a cardinal sin, but it's in my good movies list because I still love the beginning so much, and I'm like, it's so there. This director someday is going to have a script that's going to not fumble the bag at the end, hopefully, and it'll be one of the best movies ever. Like this is so close to being Seven, or like
it's a beautiful looking film.
Silence of the Lambs, or like one of those like serial killer horror thriller things that really like pierces the veil to be like one of these all-timers. Yeah. And it's just so dumb.
But it's like the paranormal aspect. I'm fine with it every once in a while. Like, I think about Mike Flanagan. He does paranormal stuff really good because it's so like, it's not in your face, and it's not really explained most of the time. And in this, it's like, oh, we're going it's a haunted doll. That's really what it is. That's what it is. It's the boy in the walls kind of thing. It's so lazy, and I just can't stand it. And it's just like, people don't understand, like, the horror does not come from that stuff. The scary stuff is people, and like the characters and what they go through and different things. It's like, it's not the spooky doll. You know what I mean? I just can't stand that shit. It pisses me off, frankly. I don't know. I just thought that was like the worst route you could possibly go for this type of film.
And just have it like explained through a voiceover.
Yes.
With flashback is like,
come on, dude.
Yeah, it's just a shortcut, and it feels kind of weak sauce. But somehow I still put this in my good movies list because I'm like, I love some of it so much. I've already gone back to it, and I feel like I will keep going back to it because there's something about the beginning that
the atmosphere is definitely there. You definitely feel, like you were saying, you feel the dread, and you like, yeah, it's got the makings of a good film, but you fumbled the bag at the end. So
yeah. Alien Romulus. I think we covered this on your mid.
Yes.
List. I just liked it better than you. I think it fumbles the bag in the Legacy sequel when it comes to the room, and they're like, this is the room that has all the member berries. Look, it's black goo. Have you seen the film Prometheus? What about its kind of sequel, Alien Covenant, starring David playing the flute? Look, it's the rifle from the movie Aliens.
Look, it's the original android in all his CGI glory.
All that shit is stupid, but as far as the like, let's shoot teenagers into space and watch the aliens kill them in fun ways, I think it really succeeds in that. And as far as like, we're just gonna make a modern alien that's like kind of no frills other than your regular IP maintenance stuff. I think it's all pretty good. I think David Johnson's really excellent as that android, and as far as like audio-visual technical achievement, it's up there with the best.
I really like the scene where the xenomorph first appeared and he's coming out of that giant vagina thing. Mm-hmm. That was a great scene. I also liked the face huggers when they were trying to go through, like, they had to like lower the temperature in the room to like, or no, they had to turn up the heat in the room to go through. And so the facehuggers wouldn't see them or whatever.
Yeah.
That's all great. It was all fine.
A lot of great stuff. Okay. Did you watch Beetlejuice Beetlejuice?
I did not.
Is that Beetlejuice?
First of all, I want you two kids to know this is a safe space, okay? Feel free to express yourself. Don't be afraid. I sense there's an enabler here, but we'll get to that. Look, dig deep and spill your guts, okay? Who wants to go first? Huh? All right, I will. There you go. See, I'm willing to do the work. You two kids need to get in touch with your inner child. Mine will be along in just a jiffy.
One of those legacy sequels that actually, it kind of flips the bird to like everything and doesn't matter, and it is so dumb and useless that it's actually fine that it's just like vibes. Yeah. It's just like watch Beetlejuice return, watch Tim Burton do weird stuff with like costume and set design again, and return to the roots. And I don't have a lot to say with it, but it doesn't fumble in a lot of the ways that these legacy sequels does. It just maintains the sort of bananas Beetlejuice energy. Yeah. And that's all we really needed. It does not tie the bow. It like tries to have some emotions and tries to do like a mother-daughter thing with Jenna Ortega and Winona Ryder, and we're like, nope, we're not here for that.
I saw the original a while back. I don't remember anything from it. I just remember if you say his name however many times he appears. I just, who asked for that? I don't know.
Well, it's number 11 at the box office, so apparently people are seeing it.
Interesting.
Any more good movies you want to talk about, Kalen?
Well, I had The Order on there. I put that in my good list just because I enjoyed it a lot. And I just liked that it looked like a movie. It was well made.
It does look like a movie.
And it's just like, it looked good, man. The performances were good. And, Nicholas Hoult, he's like starting to become one of those actors where it's like, oh, I'll watch something if he's in it.
And when he was at that meeting, I was like, you're talking some sense now.
Whoa. Whoa, buddy.
You're making a lot of good points.
What did he say? He was like, he didn't say if it's white, it's right. He said something else that they were chanting. And I just found that super funny. But
it's hard for an honest man to make that kind of money in this country. Because it's not our country, brother.
It's just like, it explains white supremacy so well. And it's just like a bunch of like incel men that just want to blame somebody else for their issues, and it's just hate fueled, and there's really no type of like intelligence around it. It's just like, we want what's taken back, what was taken from us that we also took. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. And it's funny to me.
I think actually the most effective thing is when the way it shows how it's passed on to the children.
Yeah, for sure.
He's just like reading total propaganda as like nighttime stories.
Yeah, and like letting his son shoot a fucking Uzi or whatever. Yeah. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I love how like the FBI for this white supremacist group, at first they send one guy, but if it's Judas and the Black Messiah, they have the whole fucking government on his ass. You know what I mean?
Journey Smollett shows up like, why'd you call me?
Yeah. No, I thought it was a really well-made film, and it was definitely one of the better ones I saw this year.
Good morning, my brothers. Good morning. Sisters. It's an honor to be here with you. I'm proud. But if you're like me, I'm not sure how much more talk I can hear. Because that's all it is, isn't it? Talk, talk, talk. Well, I, for one, have had enough of just talk. I know how you feel. I do. You've lost your jobs, your dignity. I watched my father get knocked down again and again, and he never pushed back. And they'll tell you that's how it works. You just have to stand there and take it. One link at a time. One freedom at a time. But I won't do it. It is time for us to fight. My friends and family, we're here with you today because we want you to join us on a mission. Putting words into action.
I'll talk about Snack Shack. This is just a real back to basics. Hey, you want a summer comedy for the boys?
Yeah.
It's about two boys that run the Snack Shack down at their local like community center pool.
Yeah.
They put a bid out to earn some money, and then it's just a real slice of life coming of age thing about two boys learning to be men.
You know, it kind of reminds me of that film, the A24 film, mid-90s, about that skater group or whatever. But that one is just a lot more sad, you know? And I just like that from the trailers and stuff that I've seen. It just seems like it's one of those movies that they just don't make anymore, you know? And it's something that, you know, those types of films are definitely like a big part of my life as well. It's like, you know, those friend movies and stuff. And they're fun to watch. So
yeah, I'd give it more than that. I'm about to spoil something about Snack Shack, so sorry for any buddy that had Snack Shack on their movies to watch list. So it takes a little bit of a dramatic turn, which you don't really expect. There's this older guy that sort of puts our main character under his wing, and they hang out a couple times earlier in the movie, and then I think he goes off to serve in the war or whatever, or like do a tour of duty, and then he returns. And then while he's back, he dies in a car crash, and then that becomes like there's like the petty teenage drama that everyone's wrapped in at that time, like kind of falls apart because they're all like, oh, this person really died.
Yeah.
And I for a movie that's pretty silly and pretty just like about dumb teen comedy, it punches pretty hard in a way where it doesn't feel like you know, the guy dying at the end of Big Lebowski, or like where it's like, oh, this person had to die for any dramatic stakes to happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like that. It feels like a real earned, like, this is a coming of age story, and like death now becomes part of your life for the first time as a teen, and it kind of hits like that does. In that really unexpected way where like when you're a teen, where everything's just fun and laughs and moving on to the next goof.
Yeah.
And then life kind of sucker punches you. So Snack Shack, would recommend.
You know what's my favorite teen movie ever? Mean Girls. I love Mean Girls. It's a great movie. I don't know if you've ever seen Mean Girls before, but if you want to watch a good teen comedy, it's a great movie.
All right. We recommend Mean Girls as well.
Yes, Mean Girls is great.
That is 3,001 USD. Our bid for the concession stand at the Steinhardt pool.
In singles? Oh, it's a bit unorthodox, but the council will consider all bids, proposed or otherwise. Correct, Mr. Mayor?
Aye.
And the Bravos?
It looks like a check for $300.
Well, boys, you got yourself a snack shack.
Lisa Frankenstein, Cuckoo, Hitman, didn't talk about you much, but you're on my list. Milk and Cereal, as you were. Thelma, did I talk about Thelma?
No, you didn't talk about
Okay,
Thelma.
I love Thelma. I love that it's about an older woman. Like, it's really about advanced age and people being old.
Yeah.
And how you deal with that. And Richard Roundtree, who used to be Shaft, is in it, and I believe it's his last credited role, so it's dedicated to Richard Roundtree at the end.
Nice.
It's really just a heartfelt, loving comedy that makes you want to go hang out with your grandma.
Nice.
So, what's wrong with that?
Nothing.
It's a very good time. You leave it and you go, that was a sweet movie.
Go on a revenge quest with your grandma.
Gee, it makes me think I need to call my family.
Oh, gee.
Oh, geez.
Oh, gosh.
So, Thelma, recommend it.
Tell me where you're looking at.
It's a family and a baby, and they're everywhere.
Great. Are there words?
No, it says Lincoln Mutual.
Yup, it's an app. You need to find the X.
Well, there's no red X.
No, but it's not always red. Sometimes they hide it. So look closer.
Top right.
wait! Remember? The computer's the library, and the search bar's the library.
You're gonna ask it for information, and then it's gonna give it to you.
Where is the bank?
Are you talking to me?
No, I'm asking the machine.
I can't hear you.
Is there a Sari or a Siri, or is she not in there?
She's not there. That's in your phone, but you don't need her.
I don't talk to her. She talks to me.
With that, we can be done with the good movies of 2024.
How do you feel about that list overall?
I feel like 2024 was a movie of years.
Okay. Do you think the pandemic was finally catching?
I don't know.
As far as like filmmaking goes,
it feels like there's a lot of smaller movies that were pretty good, and a lot of the big budget ones, even the ones that we liked on this list, like Furiosa.
Yeah.
There's some qualms you have with them. I feel like this year overall was top loaded with a couple great movies.
Yeah.
And a lot of like pretty good to mediocre.
Well, one that we didn't get to talk about because we didn't see it yet is Nosferatu, and it's being reviewed fairly well. People are saying it's one of Robert Eggers' best. I can't wait to go see it. I don't know if I want to see it in the theater. I might wait for it to come out in streaming at this point. But looking forward to that one. And yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up.
Yeah, Nosferatu is one we didn't cover. The Brutalist is a big Oscar one.
I've heard that as well. Yeah,
haven't covered or seen that.
There's a movie with Emma Stone and Willem Dafoe that I didn't see as well.
What Kinds of Kindness?
Yeah, I didn't see that one. I heard that one was pretty good though. Yeah. So next time we'll be going through the bad list and airing out all the stinkers.
All right. So until next time, peace.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?